Coming up on our broadcast for tonight, tornadoes rip through the heart of Texas.
And seniors, beware, more skunks in our area could cause problems.
Following that is sports, weather, the Bryant Update, and the world news.
And it all starts right now.
Straight from the Bulldog Studios at Bryant University, this is the Bryant News Broadcast, hosted by Todd Stewart and Sarah Larrabee, featuring Nolan Thompson with the weather, Brian Walsh and Chad Saber with sports, Dana Arenik with the Bryant Update, and Doug Sieber with the World News. This episode is sponsored by the Media Production Club.
In national news just yesterday, massive tornadoes ripped through Dallas, Texas, damaging 650 homes along its path, leaving thousands without power. Among the hardest areas hit was Lancaster, Texas, just south of Dallas, where 200 buildings were leveled, leaving little of the town left. The tornadoes were seen through this amateur video you are about to see, tossing 18-wheelers through the air. Thankfully, due to the reverse 911 call, no fatalities are yet recorded, which is a miracle considering the power of this storm. Many companies nowadays are feeling pressures of this tightening economy, and the struggling internet giant Yahoo is the most recent to feel it. Yahoo said today that it will be cutting 2,000 jobs, which equates to about 14% of its workforce. The reason for this such massive job layoff is that Yahoo is taking a new step towards a bold new website which they described as smaller, more nimble, and more profitable, and with the availability to innovate as fast as their customers and industry require. While the company tries to solve their problems, some experts say that you can't cut your way to revenue growth, and therefore the layoffs were a bad idea.
If you are living in the townhouses, the last thing you want to see walking up to your door is not a DPS officer, but a skunk. Throughout the past year, Bryant seniors have been complaining about an increase in the number of skunks living on our campus. However, a statement from the North Smithfield Animal Control Office warns residents that there has been an increase in the number of rabid skunks in our area. Anyone who notices skunks acting differently or are spotted especially during the day are urged not to approach them, but to call local animal control or the North Smithfield Police. Have you ever tried to get out of a speeding ticket? Well, one man in Rockville, Maryland did so dressed as Batman. Local authorities pulled over the Dark Knight himself, dressed with his cape, mask, and all, and he was driving a black Lamborghini that had an official Batman license plate, which is not allowed in the state of Maryland. Officers let Batman off with just a warning, but the man, whose name is Lenny Robinson, also explained how he dresses up to visit sick children in the hospital to give them a sense of hope and fulfill a childhood dream. The video taken from the officer's dash cam shows the officer shaking Batman's hand and even taking pictures with him on the side of the road. Let's turn it over to Nolan, who has our weekly forecast. Nolan, are we going to be able to see some more of this sunny weather this week?
Our next chance of showers isn't until next Tuesday, with only a 30% chance of showers until then. And that temperature should be to the mid-upper 50s, with nothing but sunshine seeing us through the weekend and into next week. Well, that's your weather this week. Now over to Brian and Chad with sports.
Thanks, Nolan. Congratulations to the Baylor Bear women's basketball team, as last night they won the national championship and completing their perfect season, finishing 40-0 by defeating the Notre Dame Fighting Irish 80-61. All-star 6'8" Brittany Griner was always right at the center of action. Every time Notre Dame made a run in the second half to cut into the deficit, Griner had an answer. Griner would finish the game with an impressive 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks. But there is no way Griner carried her team by herself. Without her coach Kim Mulkey leading the team and point guard Odyssey Sims putting on a great defensive performance against all-star Notre Dame point guard Skylar Diggins. This game could have had a different result. Overall, I congratulate Kim Mulkey and the Baylor Bears for winning the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. It will be interesting to see what this team does next year. Oh, and Brittany Griner has decided to stay with the team for her senior season. Repeat, anyone? Now over to Brian.
Thanks, Chad. I'm pretty sure a repeat's going to be in order for Brittany Griner and the Baylor Bears next season. Have you ever heard the excuse, my dog ate my homework? Well, dogs really don't enjoy homework. They enjoy Masters tickets. In one of the most bizarre stories this reporter has seen in a while, Seattle resident Russell Berkman came home to find that his dog ate his tickets to the Masters practice rounds. After him and his buddies are already booked their trip, they were in shock. So what did he do? Berkman decided to pour hydrogen peroxide into his dog's mouth and wait for the tickets to come up. After searching through the puke, the pieces of the tickets were found. Once Berkman called Augusta and the tickets were reissued. The question now is, what would you do to go to the Masters? Now, in other news, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco is out to prove his naysayers wrong. His agent has been talking about him being a top 5 quarterback. On WSNT, Baltimore said that he was without a doubt a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Many disagree, however. Last year in a similar situation on the Michael Kay show, Eli Manning before said he should be considered among the elite. He backed this up with a Super Bowl win. Now, Chad, with Flacco's statement, do you really think he's a top 5 quarterback, or is this just publicity from his agent?
Well, I like where his confidence is at. I think where his confidence is at is great. I mean, you have to think you're at the best at his position, but for a top 5, I'm not really sure. Top 10, I'd give him that. But you still have quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and you can even throw quarterbacks even like Phillip Rivers in. He didn't have a great season back here, but he's been a great thrower for years. I think Flacco right now, he's on the same level kind of with Alex Smith. They just came up short. They had both great performances in the playoffs last year, but their team overall just came up short to go to the Super Bowl. But I like where Flacco's confidence is at, and we'll see if he can have another great season this year and prove his critics wrong. I
like what you're thinking here. You know, Mark Sanchez, Alex Smith, you know, I kind of like them. But the thing is, they've got the aging defense, unlike the 49ers, who've got the up-and-coming defense, the Jets, who are just in the mix right now with, you know, Rex Ryan and Darrelle Revis. Just the whole entire locker room's in shambles and chaos. But Ray Lewis is going to retire soon. Suggs is going to retire. And that team is in a win-now mode, you know? And they're eventually going to have to win a Super Bowl with Flacco.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see, like you just said, what's going to happen once the defense starts getting old and they start a couple guys leaving here and there. Will Flacco stay with that team? Or if he's going to move on to someone else, will someone be willing to pick him up? I mean, time will only tell for him. So
who knows? Maybe Flacco's going to win a Super Bowl. All right, that was sports. Now over to Dana with the Bryant News Update.
Thanks, Brian and Chad. A fellow Bryant student, junior Rosina Dazelle of Brooklyn, New York, has been honored for her efforts around issues surrounding child welfare and HIV/AIDS. She was named a Newman Civic Fellow by Campus Compact. She is one of 162 college students from across the United States to be selected for her achievements in finding solutions to community problems. With this, Rosina hopes to pursue a career in a family court judge where she hopes to share and shape policies and programs that will help people reach their highest potential. Back to you, Todd and Sarah.
Thanks, Dana. And wrapping up our show is Doug with the World News. Doug?
Thank you very much, Todd. My name is Doug Sieber, and here is your World News for the week. Our first story for today, Tunisian government officials have finally decided on whether or not to reopen the 8th century Zaytounia Mosque's religious university. On Monday, court officials unlocked the doors, allowing volunteers and students to enter the school for the first time in a little over half a century. The school, which once stood as the world's leading center of Islamic learning, was closed by independent leader and secularist strongman Habib Bourguiba in 1964 as part of an effort to curb the influence of religion within the nation. Bourguiba closed the doors and merged the ancient university with the state's Tunis University. The college reopened its doors on Monday as part of the drive by religious scholars and activists to revive the Zaytounia's moderate brand of Islam, which once dominated all of northern Africa, and furthermore, they hope that it will counter the spread of more radical Islamic beliefs and views. And in other news, the UN Security Council released a statement on Wednesday, broadcasting its concerns over the substantial al-Qaeda presence in the West African nation of Mali. The Security Council further warned that Islamic extremists could only further weaken security in the West African nation, which last week saw the separatist rebellion bolstered by a military coup. In its third statement since the March 22nd coup by renegade soldiers, angry with Mali's government failure to stamp out the rebellion in the northern part of the country, the 15-nation Security Council again called for the restoration of constitutional rule. The Council also threw its support behind the efforts made by the Economic Committee of West African States, or the ECOWAS, to restore order in Mali. UN Political Affairs Chief Lynn Pascoe
told the council on Tuesday that the ECOWS has placed some 3,000 troops on standby to deal with the coup and rebellion in Mali. Well, that's all we have for tonight. I'll turn it right back over now to Todd and Sarah.
Thanks, Doug. And from all of us here, cast and crew, on the Bryant News broadcast, I'm Sarah Larrabee.
And I'm Todd Stewart. And catch us here at the same time next week where we bring you everything that you want to know. Good night.